So the question is about balance, striking a balance in the innovative use of AI and adhering to the ethical principles in the social sciences. I guess the same kinds of balance, the challenge for balance applies in all the disciplines, but especially in the social sciences. I think we are trying to collect data from real world people, systems, organizations, and we're trying to accurately report what we find in our data. And AI can skew the balance because it may push us in the direction of creating content that is not based on reality, but based on plausible patterns of thoughts and words. And in that situation, it is really difficult to strike the balance because the temptation is to lean on AI-generated content. It is to lean on AI-based thinking patterns. It is to lean on AI-based convenience, speed, and efficiency. And when you're leaning on speed, convenience, efficiency, you could actually compromise the quality, reliability, accuracy of the data. And therefore, in the social sciences, it is very, very, very necessary to really take responsibility towards collecting, analyzing the data, towards being skillful, knowledgeable. And if you're skillful, if you're knowledgeable, and if you're responsible, your likelihood of using AI in a balanced manner is higher. If your own knowledge, if your own skills, if your own sense of responsibility to do the hard work, to find the actual, to learn from study the actual reality of a system, of people, of communities, then you're leaning on the side of convenience and speed. And that could lead you to become someone who produces and disseminates false reality, false information, false knowledge. And that is why trying to strike a balance in terms of your knowledge level, in terms of your skill level, and in terms of your ethical standard is necessary. The balance comes from trying to grapple with the power of AI in relation to the power of human knowledge, skills, and ethics. So transparency is the challenge there. If you want to be transparent, just imagine that when you are using AI, you can track everything. You can record all of the conversations, you can create a link from each of the conversations, and you can footnote them in your writing. If you're able to footnote all of the conversations with AI that was used in the process of data collection, analysis, and the writing process, then you're at least thinking, my reader knows what I did, how I did, and why I did it. If you're thinking, oh, this is my thought now, AI gave this thinking, this data, this analysis, this discussion point, and I can claim it as my own, then you're beginning to create problems. So transparency has to do with sharing with the end user. But that may not be so easy. The user may not be able to read all of your conversations. It may be hundreds of hours until they actually get into the... And that means you really take the responsibility towards not pushing the boundaries rather than holding the reader accountable to read all of your conversation. So one is reveal, reveal, reveal. Second is don't depend in the first place. Take responsibility to do the hard work yourself. This is important because it's not only about transparency towards other people, it's also about transparency towards yourself. Am I learning? Am I finding the truth? Am I advancing knowledge? Am I applying meaningful research, or am I simply producing more text like ChatGPT, which can produce thousands of words in a few seconds? And that is where transparency will be reinforced, enhanced, rather than ignored. Absolutely. It could come, the bias could come from the data set in the AI, as we heard from a wonderful keynote presentation this morning. The bias could come from the design of the AI. The bias could come from the way we're using. If you're not capable, skilled, knowledgeable, responsible, then we are creating biases. But don't only think about bias as one, as a problem. The problem could be falsehood. The problem could be harm. But a lot of people might think, oh, this is not a real tool. It cannot cut me. It cannot hurt me. Well, knowledge is powerful. It can create false treatment for patients. It can create dangerous designs for the community. It can create false histories and culture. It can create all kinds of risky and irresponsible content. In a knowledge economy, it's extremely important that our knowledge is factual, reliable, helpful, not harmful, fictional, and unreliable. And yes, it absolutely can. I don't want to go into the details of what bias is all about, but absolutely, AI has no sense of responsibility, consciousness, and therefore it can create dangerous outcomes and not just bias. That's a good question. It is not only the responsibility of the researchers. A lot of times, PhD students, bachelor's, master's degree students are researchers, but we can't simply say, okay, you're on your own, you're responsible. Well, this is a whole new landscape of new tools, new techniques, new knowledge landscape. And therefore, it's important for the institutions to say, I am responsible to create resources, support, mentorship. I'm responsible to integrate policies, guidelines, rules, so that there should be a full ecology where not only the teachers are teaching students, the students are taking responsibility and seeking to eagerly, curiously learn to use AI more effectively and responsibly, but also the institutions should take responsibility. The university presidents, vice presidents of research, deans must take responsibility to provide the community clear guidelines. But the guidelines should come from the bottom up, not top down. They should be responsible to create resources, not only resources that are available online from other places, the resources that are adapted to the local realities and needs of the place, even the institution, right? And therefore, by updating our traditional principles, traditional guidelines, traditional resources, and taking responsibility on all fronts, as teachers, researchers, students, and university leaders, we can create a new landscape because AI is rewriting the rules of engagement in the knowledge economy. And therefore, we need to update all aspects of our framework. Now, I'm not an ethicist, so I can only give a general answer to that question as a scholar who thinks about ethics in the context of teaching or research, scholarship. But yes, I, as a general thinker on the topic of ethics, I do think that there is a need to not change or completely reinvent ethics. Some principles are timeless and placeless. But there may be some that we need to be very specific in terms of technology. For example, if you think about human agency, if you go to a person and talk to them and you ask them, what do you believe? They'll tell you what they believe. But AI has no belief. It can believe whatever, it can tell you whatever you believe, right? If you push back, it'll tell you, yeah. And therefore, there is no anchor point. There's no point of reference. There's no framework for AI. It's very, 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 very unreliable, very, very, very fluid, very, very willing to please and exaggerate or flatter you. And this ethically unreliable partner is becoming a partner of thinking and writing and reading and research. And that means you may need to rethink what happens when you're talking to an unreliable person, which is unreliable agent. You may also need to update some of the ethical frameworks because it may be driven by certain political and economic and social and cultural forces behind it. And how do you deal with those invisible forces that are not taking responsibility with the agent that is talking to you? So if the AI is designed by some bad actor and the AI is harming people by convincing them to do bad things, then where is the point of responsibility? Is it the doctor who is using the AI who killed the patient? Is it the patient who should not have been gone to that doctor who uses the AI? No. The patient may not know that the doctor is unreliable because of AI. Is it the maker of the AI? And therefore, these scattering of the point of agency and responsibility, the fracture of the system where there was a direct human-to-human sense of responsibility and accountability, is now becoming fractured. People can try to get away by saying, oh, it was not me, I used ChatGPT. And therefore, and the acceptance and normalization of AI-based behavior. So people may be dumping a lot of email content on you, but the user knows, okay, my professor didn't write that. She's busy, I think she just dumped content on me. But the AI content is great, right? Now, do you feel comfortable about that, or do you question the professor's ethics? And therefore, this normalization, like Facebook normalized weird behaviors, right, of people doing crazy things that they would never do within a community or family. This is going to normalize a lot of things. And now it is not only normalizing information weirdness, it is normalizing persuasive weirdness, agency weirdness, responsibility weirdness, knowledge and opinion weirdness, and harmful persuasion and harmful knowledge and harmful content weirdness. So it's going to be very, very weird, and we may need to adapt how we hold people accountable, how we think about transparency, how we think about accountability. We may need to update them a little bit. And this is exactly why it goes back to the previous question, why universities, leaders, researchers, professors, students, all of us will need to come together and continue to have the conversation. So it's not enough to have rules. I think we need to have continued conversation, resources, support, and a mechanism for accountability so that people that are using AI are not simply punished left and right, but also not let free. Because students cannot be just punished, failed, but they can also not be simply excused for being irresponsible. So it has to evolve slowly through resources, support, collaboration, research, and leadership. I would say keep learning. A lot of people are trying to say, oh, is AI bad or good? Tell me. And I go, I can't answer that question because it is good if you're thinking about its speed, efficiency, power, all kinds of new affordances. It can do things that you cannot even imagine, right? And it can be very, very helpful. But if you're not very knowledgeable, careful, skillful, responsible, then it can be really bad. It can make you sound very stupid. It can make you do very harmful things, such as creating false knowledge, contaminating data, convincing people that are vulnerable, reinforcing existing problems that are prejudiced, biased, harmful. And so the one piece of advice would be, don't either or this thing. Don't black and white this thing. Don't say, is it good, is it bad? Don't say, oh, it's new technology. People used to refuse the cars back in the days. Now, look at what happened. I urge you to please read the history of technology. When the radio came, people said, oh, schools are no longer useful. You can just listen from home. Did that happen? When the television came, oh, you can see the teacher now. They can show you the materials and no need to go to school. Didn't happen. Then the internet came. And then the CD came. Every time, you know what they kept saying? Universities will close. University, did they close? And so don't be stupid because you don't have a historical perspective, political perspective, economic perspective. It is not enough to know about technology in a vacuum. You need to know technology in a social, historical, political, educational, ethical, and epistemological contexts. These technologies evolved. There is a push and pull. They didn't simply change the world either or. Many of them failed. If you simply read books on the failure of technology, what happened 10 years ago in 2013-14? They said massive open online courses. Oh, they'll close the university. Did they close? Now, MOOCs are available for extra education for people. That's great. But did they completely shut down the university? No. So don't be that next dumb person saying the next dumb thing about technology. As a student, read, study, integrate, and most importantly, as Professor, what's the name of the professor who spoke earlier, the professor of ethics and computer science, as he was saying, don't take on the responsibility of the simple black and white thinker, oh, I know technology, oh, I'm now powerful. Take the responsibility of someone who thinks carefully, thoughtfully, skillfully, knowledgeably, responsibly, and technologically savvy ways, right? So learn. Look at the big picture. Who is making the money? How can this system be helpful? How can it hurt? what is undermining my learning and what is helping my learning. Am I becoming a researcher? Am I becoming a scholar? Am I becoming a respectable researcher and scholar? If you're not, if your technology is making you dumber, more superficial, more silly, more historically, politically, and economically uninformed, you're going to sound like a dummy, whether you study social science, education, or computer science. We cannot run away from this technology. As much as the pen became normal, book became normal, paper became normal, internet became normal, computer became normal, this will become normal. The agency-based machine, the fourth revolution, as they say it. Or is it the fifth? I forgot. But as this becomes normal, it is part of the landscape. We cannot run away from the artificial intelligence mode of technological development. It doesn't mean that we have to all become experts, but we can at least inquire what we need to learn within our scope of work. And please don't become over-dependent. Please don't become silly. That'll be, keep learning and ask the difficult question. That'll be my one piece of advice in a very complicated way. Ask the difficult question. Ask the big picture question. Keep learning.